behalf of the bangers and moshers that are watching, I'd like to thank you for accepting this interview. How are you this evening, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having us also. It's always great to talk to people who have an interest in our music, so that is great. Thank you.
It's nice to talk with you. And I've listened to your album, and let me tell you that it's one of the best albums of 2023.
Thank you
So,
so much.
congrats,
Thank you.
congrats. So, people should listen and buy it. So,
I agree.
I I agree also. So, people uh, that will see the interview, go buy Autarkh's album, please.
Yes, and you could do
First,
so at autarkh.com/shop. So that's autarkh.com/shop.
Michelle, first and foremost, I'd like for you to introduce yourself, then the band members, and the band's history, please. Yourself, please.
Yes, so my name is Michel Nienhuis. I'm the vocalist and guitarist for Autarkh and the spin-off called Autarkh 3. And in the band is also David Luiten. He's also a guitar player, backing vocalist, and Tijn Verbrugge. He is doing the beats and the synths from his laptop and controllers. And Desmond Kuik is our bass player.
Could you tell us a little bit of your history, please? How, how did the band begin, please?
Oh yeah, right. So in 2019, my former band, Dodecahedron, ceased to exist. But we had a bunch of songs already written for the third album. So they were laying around and I thought they were nice and I wanted to use them, but I didn't have a band back then. And then I was thinking of what I could, start a new band or something to use these songs. And then I remembered an idea from years earlier that I had to sometime try and see if it's possible to combine that type of metal with electronic beats, as you can hear with artists like Aphex Twin or Autarkh. So I started to think about this idea, and I approached some people to discuss this idea and elaborate on it, and then we started working together as in trying to make demos and fool around with different sounds to see what would work. And well, that was David and Tijn mostly, and also Joris Bonus, the guitar player of Dodecahedron. And well, that's basically how the band formed. Second half of 2019, 2020. And then we started. We thought it would be a great idea to develop those sounds that we thought worked, and then eventually make a debut album. So that's how the band came into existence.
Mm-hmm. Your album, which is called Emergent, uh, was released via Season of Mists on the 10th November this year. Congrats once again on the release of this album, Michel.
Yeah, thank you, thank you.
How is it working with such a professional label like Season of Mist, Michel?
That is, of course, a great privilege because they really help us to get the record out there, and I have quite a long history already with them. My former band, Autarkh, we released 2 albums also on Season of Mist. And I was also in a band called Exivius, and the second album of that band was also released on Season of Mist. So I've been working with them for quite some time, and it's really nice to have a record label back you up, and they can do promotion and get the physical record out there. And the thing about Season of Mist specifically is that what I really like is that Michael there, the label boss, is really still investing in underground artists or new bands, so it's not only the bigger acts, but he keeps signing new things that he believes in, and he has the underground activists division specifically for more specific type of bands. And I really like that because that shows that he's still invested in art as such. Yeah.
We can hear that you like to reimagine artistic ideas. And why did you decide to reinterpret the songs from your former band? And what ideas did you have for those songs?
Yeah, that idea started fairly quickly. Always, throughout my musical career, if there was a new project coming up, then I would usually first check my hard drive and see what kind of ideas I have laying around, even if they would be completely different type of musical ideas, and see if it would work to interpret them in the context of the new band that I was going to write some stuff for. So that was already kind of a natural way of working to me. And with Autarkh, since it was also an evolution out of Dodecahedron, so the songs that were written for the third Dodecahedron album already became part of the new Autarkh. So there was already a concrete link between those two. And then we also started to think about reinterpreting our own material into the context of Autarkh 3, because we thought it would be really nice to have like a second version of Autarkh, so to say, that is a bit more calm and introverted and emphasizes different types of sounds. Partially also because Tyne has that background. He's more from the minimal ambient techno kind of stuff, and we thought it would be really nice to emphasize that type of atmosphere as well. So yeah, we just started doing that, and we found out that it's really fun to see what types of ideas can you make match. Like if there's an idea from one song, and then somebody hears or visualizes a link with some other song, and then hey, let's see if we can combine the two and create something of a new attention span out of it. And we also started to think that way about the lyrics, and it's a really fun and interesting process. So yeah, it started kind of natural, and we really like to do it. Yeah.
Mhm. You even have an alter ego, Autarkh 3, that through him you keep recycling ideas. Care to share with us the process idea for songs? And was it difficult to recycle them again?
Yeah, like I mentioned, it's a fun process to do. It really sparks our creativity in a different way, because you can start from scratch. That is also nice. But if you have a link already and try to create from that, then the way we look at it is that you create some sort of network of dots that are the songs, and then you create links in between them, so it becomes some sort of network of connected works or something like that. And it's a really, well, yeah, it's a fun process for us to do. I also think it might be very interesting way of working for younger musicians or artists because it might shed some light on, if you're still in the developing phase of your artistic identity, then that way of working might shed some light on who you are. Like if you start to reinterpret something in a different context, then you can see afterwards, like, okay, what is has changed and what stayed the same. And the thing that stayed the same is apparently important to you, or is like kind of a link or a hint as to what your artistic identity is. So yeah, I think it's a really interesting way of approaching things, and we really like to do it.
Autark's music often balances on the edge between light and dark, creating a captivating contrast. How does the band achieve this balance, and what role do dynamics and vocal harmonies play in crafting this contrast?
Um, yeah, the balance is yeah, we have to um well, we don't have to. We kind of it's kind of a natural way of dealing with, you know, yeah, as we experience life, there can be, lighter sides and darker sides to it. And the storyline of the album also is like a bit of a flow through all kinds of lighter and darker things that you can encounter. And the thing that we try to do is to emphasize that with sound and music. So we have kind of an abstract vision of how something should come out, or what the type of song is that we're trying to do, and then we create um, harmonies or melodies that are aligned with that type of atmosphere. Or I mean, it's a bit difficult and detailed to completely explain that, but for a song like Dukkha, for instance, it was to me quite clear that that should be a darker song, especially the first half. So you search for sounds and intervals that are more dissonant, and try to find um, according atmospheres that come from time, or extra guitar layers. And if the vibe is more uplifting, you choose different types of chords or melodies.
Michelle, I'm very impressed with your vocal skills because
Thank you.
I've searched for your previous albums and I've noticed that you've improved vocally, and which is quite fascinating. How did you prepare yourself for this release, and what improvements have you noticed for your from your vocals from this album to the last albums?
Yeah. Well,
To talk about your improvements, please.
yes, yes. I also feel that I have improved with that, and I'm happy that you agree with me. I did a lot of well, training practice. When we did the first album, I had only just discovered that I could uh, do some sort of clean, well, not clean, but distorted sounds, but that which with a pitch. And then when I was recording that, I uh, just started to do that to the best of my ability. But I was really forcing the sound out of my throat. Um, and also in the recording process, you can record little parts. So only when we started rehearsing for the live shows, I realized that a bunch of things that I had recorded are actually quite difficult to perform in as a whole song. So then I knew that I just really had to practice, and specifically a thing called mixed voice, to be able to sound steady and heavy also in the higher regions. So then I knew I just had to start doing that, and in that way, it's not much different from going to the gym. You just need to do that for a longer time in order to start to see or hear or feel some results. So that's what I did. I started to do a lot of mixed voice exercises, start to sing along with singers who are really good at that, like Chris Cornell. And then slowly but surely, it started to become steadier and steadier. And yeah, well, that progress was recorded on the second album. I still have a lot to learn, but I feel that I've made some progress, and I'm happy to. And the really nice thing about it is that it really starts to feel more and more like I have an extra expression tool. Like I was used to doing, grunts and screams, but now I have clean sound as well that I can use, and it really contributes to my range of expression. So that's really good.
Emergent isn't part of a trilogy, although most people will think this album is part of a trilogy. How is this album connected to the last albums?
Well, that has to do, of course, with what we talked about already, with the reimagining of existing work and the connectivity from dodecahedron to Autarkh. And then also there is one video online where it's a bit explained so, for instance, one song on Emergent called Ka is connected to a dodecahedron song, but also connects to Autarkh 3 material. So the way they are connected can be best seen at we started to kind of make some sort of model out of it, so you can have a little look at how things are connected. There's more links to be added to that model, but I can send you the link in the chat, and you can add it to the interview if you want. But they're
Yes,
basically, yeah, like it's a network of connected work. I will send it in the chat.
one copied. All right. Michelle, let's talk about some songs, shall we?
Yeah.
Eye of Horus is a brilliant song. How did you compose it? We can hear different tempos, and it's a very industrial and experimental track.
Yeah, it is. I agree. It's one of the weirdest songs on the album. And the original idea for this song is already quite old, which is can also be seen in that model of the link that I just sent you, where
Mhm.
you can read about the fact that it comes from a song that was originally written for a band that I was in called Our Oceans, and the original harmony for that ended up not being suitable on the Our Oceans album. But the type of song and the uplifting, busy drum beat ended up on the second Our Oceans album. But at that point, I was no longer in the band, but they still stuck to that idea of that type of song, and that's called Face Them. And when I was looking around for things to write and or reinterpret for Emergent, I came across this idea, and I thought that the original harmony was really interesting to to make it fit on this album. So I started to dive into that, and of course we had to look at the type of beat, how to translate it to the electronic beats, and to create maybe some weirder atmosphere, because it's very a bumpy song, with ups and downs and a lot of contrast. So we were searching for, sounds that could go with it. And for instance, we came up with that vocoder part on the vocals, and yeah, a lot of experiment in that song. But the original the original demo is already quite old.
Mhm. And what about open focus, which is a spiritual term that opens the album, and it's connected to meditation? How important it is for you to meditate?
Um, it is quite important, at least I've been doing that from time to time for periods, and I have experienced that um, the type of raised awareness that you can experience during a meditation is a really, well, to me, when I discovered it first, it was a really, um, how should I say, a really eye-opening moment, as in I started to understand that there is a way to um, kind of rule out all the distractions in your life and stay really start to be able to be really focused, and on top of that even experience like heightened states of emotions or sense of connectivity and connectedness. And I thought that was really, really interesting, especially when it starts to translate visually also, when you see things with your eyes closed and experience a lot of energy in your brain. So that was all very inspiring. It was new, but it's also very inspiring. And I thought it would be, well, yeah, because it was inspiring to me, I also started to write about it for this album. Yeah, and open focus is indeed um, a type of state of mind where what would in this case be a very nice starting point for the album.
Michelle, how is metal scene in your hometown and in your country?
Well, in my hometown specifically, it's really good because I live in Tilburg in the Netherlands, and Tilburg is the home of Roadburn Festival, um, which is a really, really cool festival where all kinds of innovative stuff can be seen um, and heard, of course. But we also used to have a very cool experimental festival called Incubate, and we used to have the biggest indoor death metal festival of Europe, Netherlands Death Fest, before it was called Neurotic Death Fest. So yeah, there's a lot of activity in the louder guitar scene in this town, every now and then you see new bands popping up, and we have nice locations where all kinds of underground art or metal stuff is going on. So yeah, I really believe that it's quite good here.
And how is this album being received in Europe and at the rest of the world?
So far, I've seen quite an overwhelming amount of really positive responses, which warms my heart. Of course, it's really so special and just great to me that in this day and age you can release new music and everybody from all over the world can have a listen, and they can give some feedback on it. And sometimes that's really positive, and sometimes people are more skeptic, or they feel that we are trying something that is not working, and that is all fine because everybody can have a different experience when listening to our music or whatever music. So and that is all fine.
Mhm. Michelle, what are your favorite bands and singers?
uh, well, one of my favorite singers is Chris Cornell, indeed. But I also like the sound of Jared Leto from 30 Seconds to Mars. Kind of a guilty pleasure that I sometimes sing along to. Phil Anselmo is great. Um, who else? Bands that I like. Well, one of the all-time favorites is of course Meshuggah, Converge. But I also listen to a lot of non-metal stuff or contemporary classical stuff like Giulio Ligeti or all kinds of mixtures of hip hop, jazz, loungy stuff like Domi and JD Beck or Maxwell or Kiefer. So yeah, it can be anything.
Michel, thank you once again for accepting this interview. Any final words for this interview, please?
Well, once again, thank you for taking the time for this interview. Thank you for having us. It's much appreciated. And if your listeners are not acquainted with Autarkh yet, then I would encourage them to give it a spin. And if they are acquainted and really like what we do, then you could always have a look at our website, autarkh.com, or our Bandcamp page. And you might consider purchasing a physical product because we're still a small band and we're trying to make ends meet. So any support is greatly appreciated.
And tour dates. Any plans for tour dates?
We are working on some dates, but there's nothing concrete at the moment. But we're working on stuff for next year.
Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you very much, and hope
thank
to
you.
see you soon, Michelle.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you
you for
very
this
much.
interview.
Thank you very much, Michelle.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.